Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome. You have arrived to the conversation that'll end all conversations. The Soulcast with your host, Woody Wood. And now, without further ado, let's get in that crazy head. Here's your host, Woody Wood.
Yeah, what's up? Welcome to the second episode of the Soulcast. We're going to cut this one down a little bit. The last one was a little bit long. I've gotten a little bit of feedback on it.
It was interesting, though. Very interesting.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Lots of great stories.
I enjoyed it, man. Today I got Joe Stevenson with me, and my guest host is Mr. Stuart Rayburn.
Hello.
Joe runs a few charities. He's also a local musician and had a badass band back in the day called People Who Must. It did a pretty badass run.
Thanks, man.
A lot of good musicians in that band that's still running around playing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Who all was in that band?
It started out, me and a buddy of mine in high school, John Kemp, and that's taken way back in David Milligan, and that was kind of the three-piece. And then we, it kind of grew, as people's interests and, changed. It was a little bit of a revolving door. Russell Jarrett was with me and still is forever, and one of the best drummers in town, hands down. And, Joe Gillian, it was actually before that. He was in Vertical September, remember that band? Back in high school. And John Colbeck, Tim RBC, David Plunkett was with us. Rod Kite, who was Ryan Kite's brother, played with us for a little bit. I feel like I'm leaving out some folks.
If he forgets you, don't be mad at him.
Yeah, don't be mad at me. Don't need anybody mad at me. But it's really in the height of when we were doing it, when we were putting out records, it was me and John and Tim and Russell. And David Plunkett, it's always kind of been in there.
And
well. Jamie Jones actually played with us for a little bit too. Don't
that's cool.
Jamie.
Okay. And y'all ran for what, like 10 years, something like that?
Oh man, we went. The band started in '89. And so we our 10-year anniversary, we put out a double album. We kind of had the B side thing, and then kind of the actual album. Put that out in '99, and then we were just burned out, man. We spent a lot of years on the road and trying. I always compare it to baseball. It's like minor league baseball. We started out as a hot prospect, and then we ended up being that 40-year-old. AAA player that got to see the show a couple times, but never could quite, establish. And it's with anything else, it's timing. I think it's all a timing thing. And some other bands that we were really similar to just were in the right place, right time, and we weren't.
Yeah, there was another band running around at that time, In Like Flynn. Y'all remember that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And I actually think, people are going to say whatever they want to say, and this is just my very humble opinion. I always thought that they kind of had a widespread sound before widespread.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then...
Well, I don't know. I'll debate you on that.
Oh, yeah?
I think In Like Flynn was one of the best bands from Augusta that moved to Athens and became an Athens band. But Brian Brittingham and Chris Osmond and John and when Grady Nickel was in the band, they just had a Mike... I'm drawing a blank on his last name.
Osmond?
No. Wargo.
Okay.
Anyway, was the drummers for a little bit. They had that album, The Factory, is one of the best releases, from a band that was really kind of based in Augusta. And the reason I was debating you on it mainly is because I was a big Panic fan when Space Wrangler came out. I love Space Wrangler. Loved the second album, the green one. And then they kind of lost me a little bit after that, and that was way before In Like Flynn.
Yeah.
But I will say, their path, that was kind of that Red Belly thing to, Red Belly after them, just kind of, in a different genre today is Funk U. Those three bands really, kind of they put out great music and drew the crowds, and people liked it. It was a jam. It was kind of a social gathering of sorts.
So, a party.
Yeah, loved In Like Flynn though.
Yeah, I like those type of bands that can create a party environment. Now Stuart, just to let y'all in on what he does a lot of things, but one of the things he does is he puts out the downtown map that y'all might see around downtown and in a few businesses and whatnot.
Yes.
Trying to show people that downtown's awesome, and that they should come down here and eat and drink and have a good time and have camaraderie with the folks.
Oh, yeah. And that was the point of putting the map out in the first place. I actually had a conversation with some folks from the Downtown Augusta Alliance, and they were telling me that how in Aiken there's this great map of downtown, and it's put out, I think, by the Downtown Development Authority in Aiken, or Main Street. But it's something that they do for the people that have businesses there, and these folks were thinking that we should have something similar. And so we got together and we developed this idea with the goal of marketing downtown, the entirety, kind of as an outdoor mall of sorts.
Right.
A place where we have a quote, food court of some sort. That is, you can park and walk around and, go to lunch at different places or try different tapas out at different restaurants. Also, some adult entertainment with some good bars and music venues. But then there's a lot of family entertainment too.
Yeah.
So on Saturdays, it's a good, place to bring your children down and do things like, there's the Saturday market, there's the ghost trolley tours, the Patriot boat tours. And
I haven't done the Patriot Boat Tour. I want to do that.
You should play it, man.
Yeah?
It's
I think
fun.
that's brilliant, yeah.
Yeah, I've every year they have people play on it, and it's fun.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah,
I should look
I've
into
done it
that.
a couple of times.
Well, I'm terrible at booking. I swear, man. I'm the worst at booking. I don't know what my problem is, man, but I think it's basically that I'm so scatterbrained and unorganized. Like, it's very hard for me to get organized.
you need a manager.
I do.
Yeah.
What's
Stuart.
up, Stuart? Come on, help me.
I think we just made a connection.
There you go.
Stuart and Joe have known each other for a while, haven't you?
We have, yeah.
High school days.
I remember the car he had in high school, the Thing.
Yeah.
The Thing.
You remember those, the Volkswagen Things?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he had one.
Where is it now?
It's gone. Long gone. My stepfather still has one, and I love looking at it.
I always thought he was the coolest dude just because of that.
Right.
I was like, oh, he's got a Thing.
Oh, I was. It's all over now, though.
No,
That's
but we go
cool.
way back. No, I think it's one thing that's great about what Stuart's doing is showing people the good stuff about downtown, because so many people you talk to that aren't in Augusta, either they're out in Evans or they're in North Augusta or wherever, Aiken, they're like, oh, I'm scared to, I'm scared to go downtown or scared for my kids to go downtown.
Right.
I'm like, why?
Yeah.
That is a ridiculous statement.
It is
Probably
very
from smart
ridiculous.
people, but
Yeah, and
ridiculous statement.
it really is.
I
it's
get
just,
it from intellectual people, and I'm like, are you serious? Like, I don't understand.
It's the fear of not knowing and only following what few bad things happen anywhere.
Absolutely.
Well, and,
they happen in
and
Evans.
people love
in
to
North Augusta.
focus on the bad stuff too.
Yeah.
Especially the news. Like, I would love, like, I lived in Minneapolis for a while, and I had taken a trip up to Duluth, I think I was in, and they had some Canadian TV there, and I was like, that's weird. And so I was watching Canadian TV, and I watched their news, and then I watched our news, and I was like, I don't know, they're kind of like, they're kind of nice out
about
there.
that?
They're kind of nice, and there's good stuff on the news, and they're talking about positive stuff, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. And in Minneapolis, of course, there was 7 murders that day. And I
Wow.
was like, okay.
That's a great city, though.
I love
downtown Minneapolis is gorgeous.
I
and
love it.
The people
Augusta.
there are awesome too, right?
Yeah, they were. Yeah, super nice. Yeah, I walked around downtown. Nobody frowned at me the whole time.
Well, so speaking of people who must, what'd you do after that? Like, whenever that fizzled out?
Well, my son, my first son was born in '96. So, Lewis, I was traveling and that got tough. And then when my daughter was born in '99, McCall, I just, I was so burned out on trying to make it, trying to be the rock star and trying to do all that stuff.
Chasing
And,
it,
and
yeah.
we had a lot of fun. I mean, I'm proud of what we accomplished. And, but I had what I called my moment of clarity. Patrick Blanchard was young, up and coming musician, was always crazy talented, and
Oh, yeah.
he used to pile in the van with us on weekends. We'd pick him up at Aquinas, like we'd drive to Carmel
Nice.
with a van and trailer,
Yeah.
pick him up, and he'd go run sound and hang out. And so my moment of clarity was really, hey, here's what I can do. I can get out of what I'm doing, but still be in it. And so we put everything that we had behind Patrick, and Tim Arbisi stayed in the band with Patrick, but we got Jason Neal who's an incredible drummer, plays with Carbon Leaf. He's up in Virginia now. John Watkins, who's with Dead Confederate, was on keyboards.
Yeah, I love John.
Yeah, and so they, we put them on the road and really, worked them hard. And then Patrick kind of got burned out, and so then we hooked up with Brandon Bauer and Levi, and that's so Patrick Blanchard and the Big Mighty turned into the Big Mighty. So I managed them for a while. I started doing radio in 2001 on 95 Rock, and it was called Homegrown at the time. It was all local and regional stuff. Still do it today, except it's called The Radar, which we just changed the name when we added new music. And so, I just stayed in music, got involved with 12 bands in 2003. And that was really because of radio and the need of having some local Christmas music. I had a stint in commercial real estate, which was kind of soul sucking.
I'd imagine so.
Yeah, so I did that for a little bit, and it just wasn't my thing. I did fine with it, but it just was not my. Hell, I sold Stuart a building.
Yeah, sure did.
I was his.
Thank you.
I was
Good
his
job.
agent for that.
That's cool.
Yeah. I think that might have been my last one.
Well, and I hope to make a lot of money on that one day.
But yeah, so it's I just to stay true to myself, it was always music was once you get bit by the music bug, it's kind of
it's hard. And Glue Stick, you started Glue Stick when?
My wife and I in 2007 started. I had Joe Stevenson music prior to Glue Stick, and that was just with the success of 12 Bands of Christmas. A friend of mine from Atlanta who does Six Man. He's got all these rock and roll music cruises. He does Kiss, Kid Rock, Skinner, Rock Boat, all these really great things. He contacted me about doing a fundraiser kind of concert for First Tee, and so we developed Rock for Dough. With the folks at First Tee, and so from that, it just kind of we had some successes to build on, and so with Glue Stick, it's just been a long kind of road of just building relationships and having some successes, and it's been good. So my wife is the brains; she's the numbers person and the PR person and all that, and then I'm kind of more the artist guy. I'd kind of deal with the bands.
Well, who are you listening? Like, if I was to get in your car, who'd we be playing?
It's funny because I don't listen to a ton of music in my car. That's kind of my quiet spot.
I know a few musicians like that. It's so weird. Like Doug, my rhythm guitarist, he never listens to the radio in his truck, and it drives me crazy. And I'm like, dude, why don't you listen to music? And he's like, because I hear it in my head, bro.
Oh, wow. Nice.
I'm not that deep. Mine is I just want some quiet, away from the kids.
Right.
And, and I'll turn on the radio just to kind of see what's going on.
Well, there's nothing good on radio.
Yeah, I'm a sucker for a good pop song. I like a good strong chorus and good melody. I like good lyrics. So you could have the strong chorus and melody and bad lyrics, and it turns me off.
Yeah, I'm terrible at lyrics myself because I can memorize them as a bitch.
Yeah, I just I listen to a lot of random stuff from just. From doing radio, we get a lot of new music. It's almost overwhelming, and that might be another reason why I'm not like, oh, I love this, and this. Gosh, I guess. When I'm like last year we did the Springsteen tribute, and so all I listened to for months and months and months was Springsteen,
right?
Because I wanted to kind of get that vibe.
Yeah.
And I tend to go project listening where if I'm working on something, that's kind of what I gravitate towards. So I like to dip back into the collection, go back and listen to some of my favorite records.
Oh yeah,
Sean Mullins, Soul's Core, and stuff like that.
Yeah. Isn't Patrick playing with Sean a little bit these days? Or?
He's not anymore. He was,
Yeah.
but he is no
He's
longer
playing
doing
bass, wasn't he?
Mm-hmm. Well, pretty much whatever. He was kind of the right hand man.
I remember they had a band called Inside Blue back in the day. Patrick Blanchard, Adam Hatfield was in it. Joe Bone was actually in that band for a stint, and the Kelly brothers were in it.
Yeah. They it's funny because I had that CD, and it was actually a good
Yeah,
CD. And
it was a good CD.
Charles Kelly from Lady Antebellum was the singer and the drummer in that band, and it's funny because when Lady Antebellum was like hitting, I was like, I'm gonna see what the CD will go for on eBay. Went for $75.
There you go. No kidding.
I was like,
wow.
I called up
what's up.
Patrick. I was like, dude, do you have any more of those CDs?
$10 a piece, man.
I'll buy all of them. But it was actually for a high school band. They, it was they were a good band.
Yeah, I enjoyed them. They had that chick singer. I can't remember her name.
That was late. Yeah, that was actually later. The early incarnation was
with the Kelly brothers. That girl came along after that.
After them, right? I forgot about that. Because I don't think Adam was even in Inside Blue when Josh and Charles were. I don't think he was. I think they were just a 4-piece band. So yeah, that's funny.
Yeah,
forgot
it's
about
crazy, man. I was reaching back there for a second because I was like, oh yeah, I remember that. Because Joe came, because at the time I was running Modern Age Tobacco Shop way out in Hepzibah, and Joe and me hadn't talked in a while, and he comes in and he's like, I'm in this band Inside Blue, and we're awesome. You gotta come and check us out. And it was, I had been doing a lot of acoustic singer-songwriter stuff, and I back then, everybody wanted to power chord and
right.
And I was one of the few that did singer-songwriter stuff and knew a whole freaking song,
Right.
Because we had a huge party one time, and all night long, everybody playing music, but they would all play parts of songs. And I was too shy, and after the end of it, I was like 14. I showed Joe, I was like, I can play Peace, Wheeze, and Feel It all the way through. I played it all the way through. And he was like, dude, you should have played that while everybody was here. And I was like, they don't want to listen to this kind of music. This is the Eagles, dude.
Right.
And he's like, well, you played a whole song, though.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And
Yeah.
I was like, that's what's up.
That's great.
And, me and Joe's been playing together forever. And it's good to have musicians that you can bounce off with.
I kind of have that thing with John Colbeck. He and I, we were actually in Boy Scouts together, believe it or not.
I need to get Colbeck in here,
yeah,
too.
he and he's just kind of always been that the musician in the band, meaning he understands. And it's almost to his detriment sometimes, but it's
he takes it seriously.
How things are supposed to work, and how and he always jokes with me. He's like, "Man, it's a good thing you never actually really learned to play guitar because you would have never written half the stuff you wrote because it's just I just kind of would write what sounded good to my ears, not what
that's the way
was
I do
supposed to work.
Yeah.
And but it's good to have somebody in the band who can
Yeah. I do that with Judge. I'm like, what's this chord I'm playing?
Yeah, I have no idea. I don't. It's like, and sometimes it's wacky enough. Unless I continue to play the song on a regular basis, I don't remember how to even play the. I'm like listening to the recording. I'm like, I don't even know what I'm playing. I'm like having to figure out my own songs, and it's kind of it's frustrating to me because I'm like, damn, I wish I could remember how to play that.
Well, if we could go back for a minute, touch back on 12 bands. You and I had lunch the other day, and we talked a little bit about the 12 bands issue. And I know that Metro kind of did an expose on the charity and whatnot. My opinion of the situation, I had Coco last week, and he wanted to start it as just getting local bands to be able to play in the Imperial.
Sure.
That was it.
Right.
And I get that. I understand that side, but I also understand your side where, if you have people that are pushing to take it to the next level, what you do, you either step up to the plate or you don't. And really, it's doing more good than it would ever do bad, in my opinion.
Well, everything evolves, and when 12 bands started, people who must play 12 bands in 2001, maybe. Mm-hmm. And everything evolves, and what started out as as the thing for local bands to play at Christmas time at the Imperial, and then when Ruskin Jurgen and I got involved, adding the CD component because it was a natural thing, it was kind of one of those, hey, we feel like we're gonna make some money on this, so why don't we pick a charity and then we'll just raise the money. And it's how most charity events start off. It's like like the deal you're gonna do for the people who lost their homes. It's
for the
hey, let's
fire
raise some money and give it away.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so just through people that I knew at the time, how to do that and how to do it right, because you have to, if you're going to take money, you have to have it under somebody's nonprofit umbrella. And at the time, it was Imperial Theater, so because you don't want anybody to be stuck with taxes.
Right.
And so it grew. First year I set the goal of I'm going to raise $10,000, and I went out and got sponsors, sold CDs at stores, and it was a big success. And the next year I think we did like 20,000. Next year was when Tamara Dunstan was taken from us in that situation.
Yeah.
And she was a nurse at the Children's Hospital, so it fit in. I was very good friends with the Dunstan family. And we were just like, hey, let's honor Tamara and let's give to her fund. And that year, I think we raised $50,000, and then it was kind of around the same thing. And then you hit with any event, you kind of start hitting some plateaus, and then you see some different things falling off, attendance wise and sponsorship wise, and so you have to start kind of looking at different things to do. And really for me, it kind of ran its course. And Coco was always very involved, obviously, with the bands and the selection and the show aspect, because that's what was his part, and my part was always more of the promotion and the sponsorships and the sales. And Coco and I mean, we've always butted heads on on what he thinks we should do.
Or
and
y'all
what I
are
think.
coming at it from totally different
things.
areas.
And really, when you step back from it and you hear the different opinions, I can see, I can kind of see where it got to where it was going. So for me, I just couldn't invest what my time into it as I was, and so I kind of was ready to take a step back. And he was going to step up, but at that point we did have a board of directors. We were registered as a Georgia nonprofit, and I think at that point he just was like, I'd rather just do my own thing, and which I respect. I totally respect. And so there was an article that came out. He wrote an article about 12 Bands is basically done, and I had some pretty influential folks in town call me and say, hey, look, this is too good of a thing to let go. Why don't we revamp it? And so that's when we became a nonprofit. We researched, executive director. My whole thing was, look, if we're going to do it, it's got to be a job for me,
And you can't. It's a lot of time you put in on that.
It's a lot of time. I mean, it's more time. Most people, the stigma that 12 Bands has had is that it's one concert at Christmas time, and that's it. And it's you're supposed to raise all this money and give all this money away. Well, we were setting it up to be more of a service organization, something that provided year-round, something that gave to families, also brought music into the hospital, to the camps, and there's a lot more going on than most people realize, because all the promotion is at Christmas time for the most part.
Yeah.
In 2010, we did a thing called 12 Bands, 12 Kids. I had Glenn Fry signed on, Zach Brown, Collective Soul, Edwin McCain. I mean, we had major artists all year long where we promoted, and they sent us stuff to raffle off. And that did okay, and that was kind of, we were like, man, we're going to take this thing so big, and we're going to, we're going to give all this money to research, we're going to do this, that, and the other. And what we found was that we really were losing, touch with that tangible thing that you need, and so we took a step back and we said, we're not bringing in the money we thought we were going to bring in. We feel like maybe we need to focus more on the local, on what we have here, which is the Children's Hospital here. Brought in outside consultant, said, hey, look at everything. Tell us what your opinion is, and so she did a thorough job. We had a little board retreat kind of deal, and what she came up with and what we came up with is that we're an arts organization with a cause, just like U2 has the cause of curing AIDS in Africa or whatever,
right.
Their latest cause is, but it's really we found that we couldn't get certain grants, we couldn't get certain things because we were seen as this pass-through, because anytime if you're just an organization that takes in money and gives it straight out, you can't, a lot of people don't, it's like, well, why would I give to you, and I'll just give to whoever you're giving to.
Right.
So we kind of recreated and started in 2012 how we do things with 12 Bands and how we're we're specific now to families being treated at the Children's Hospital,
right,
for actively being treated.
I like that a lot too.
And it doesn't mean the family is from Augusta,
right?
They're being treated here in Augusta because it's a draw all over the state of Georgia and into Carolina. So
a lot, even further than that, because MCG's one.
Yeah, and it's growing, and it's fun to watch. And so we bring music into the hospital once a month. We do a kickoff concert at Camp Rainbow. The way we help families is we get requests from the social worker. A family fills out a request. Hey, I need help with my mortgage this month. Hey, we need, we're not trying to be a welfare system or something where someone gets dependent on us paying their mortgage every month. Right. We're more of the Aflac,
helping hand.
And it's we pay the bulk of the request. The only time we don't pay is if it just doesn't, fit within, maybe somebody's, older than 18, or it's for something that just doesn't quite make sense. But for the most part, we pay, I would say 90% of them. And we've never turned down one because we didn't have money to pay it. Yeah. At Christmas, we'll do gift cards for the families to go finish Christmas shopping or get household needs. And it's been that alone because we see what families we're helping. We can say, we help, the Smith family or whoever. And so that's a really cool part. And that's kind of the financial, here's what we gave sort of thing.
Well, this is what's, for me, if I was to put myself in the shoes of the families that are being helped by 12 bands, it would probably be priceless to them. To them personally, that's something that, it changes their lives. It helps them in a way to where they'll always remember, 12 bands helped me in a time where I really needed it. And all these people have a part in it. We all have a part in it, It's not just, Joe's 12 bands, it's everybody's 12 bands. Right. Especially with the musicians that donate their
absolutely.
work.
And that's the, one thing we try and do is, and you saw all the stuff I sent out. Hey, here's what I need from you as a band, because what the other side of 12 bands is helping the local musicians and putting them in the studio, challenging them to write a Christmas song.
Yeah, I got a lot of feedback on my Christmas song, and it was played on the radio a lot. I got a lot of feedback from people that have known me for years and literally never heard me perform, and I'm like, well, you didn't know I did that? And
well, it's a neat thing, and it's really kind of the thing that goes unnoticed because we're always talking about helping families at the hospital, and that's what our mission statement is. It's the healing power of music, and because when you take music into that hospital and they come out, out of the rooms, the parents are there, the child life specialists are there, and you see. They look beat. I mean, those parents especially. The kids are just most of the kids are just. They got their IV
in the moment
drips, and they're walking out in the hall, and a lot of them are playing. We bring percussion instruments, but the parents look beat. But that little smile that they have, and the thank you that either I'll get for playing or whoever's comes in is priceless, and sometimes there's only a couple of kids there. Sometimes there's
20,
10 to 20. But the flip side, and I think that what doesn't get talked about a lot with 12 bands is what we try and do for local bands, because my goal is always for 12 bands to be a little bit of a launching pad for a band if they want it. Because it's like, okay, here's how you put out a pro product. Here's how you promote it professionally. Here are all the little things. And I'm like, hey, if you need help with copywriting, you need help with publishing. It's almost like if you're a 12 bands artist, I'm here to tell you everything I know. I'll give you whatever advice. I know about publishing. I know about all the things that are kind of important for you to set up at this point of your career. And then we always, through Glue Stick, we always look at, what band makes sense for the bigger shows. From day one with Rock for Dough, we got to put a local band. And I used to have to fight tooth and nail.
Yeah,
and
I like that too. Sure.
In Banjo-BQ, we have local bands playing Banjo-BQ. And so those are kind of the little things that we try and do for the local bands. And some of them step up and get you everything they need. Some of them, don't. And that's up to them. I don't get upset about it.
Yeah, absolutely. I like to extend my appreciation for inviting me to play for the kids. Man.
Yeah.
I'm excited about that.
Well,
I've always gotten good response from kids for some reason.
Yeah, well, you kind of look like a Santa. You're kind of the
Fair enough.